Welcome to Network Cabling Standards Lesson number 3. I am your instructor, Jose Leonardo San Miguel. The objective of these lessons are to demonstrate how to prepare the material and equipment for the installation of network cables, demonstrate how to assess and verify an obstruction-free cable path, identify different cable pulling stations, and demonstrate how to route slack and secure network cable. In this lesson, the cabling project preparation steps are assessment, identification of pulling stations, generating a labeling scheme, and identifying an obstruction-free cabling plan. In the assessment stage, cable installers must calculate the distance from the communications room to the station side. Then they must multiply the distance by the number of connections needed. Last, they must calculate the amount of time, material, and labor that will be needed to complete the project. The second stage of cable preparation deals with identifying the cable pulling stations. Cable pulling stations are the places with the cable pad where the installer must pull cable slack first in order to continue the project. Usually, they are located where the cable must turn 90 degrees along its path. By doing this, it reduces pulling tension, kinks, and cable stress. The image shows the possible pulling stations. Generating a labeling scheme is very important. Labeling all network cables on both ends prior to installation saves numerous hours of extra labor. If you start pulling cables without first labeling them, you will spend hours trying to trace every cable. Follow a labeling scheme. Do not just randomly number each cable. Labeling may be done in different ways. The labeling scheme in this module is based on the room office number. Start labeling in a clockwise order using the main entrance as a starting point. The blue arrows on the image represent the clockwise rotation. This clockwise rotation represents the order in which cables must be labeled. Label all network connections in a sketch or blueprint. This will save you many labor hours. It will help you for faster troubleshooting, and it will give you a records of every network connection. It will be especially helpful during new building construction because you may be required to install cable before some of the walls are up. Construction personnel may cut off your cable or paint over it, causing the label to not be visible. Having a blueprint in hand of every network connection will allow you to identify which cable was cut or painted over. An obstruction-free path is a designated network cabling path free of any electrical wires that carry low and high voltage. It also be plumbing pipes, gas lines, sprinkler system pipes, AC motors, and any other devices or cables that produce noise. Once you start cabling, you will notice that there are many pipes, AC ducts, electrical wires installed above the ceiling. Always route your cables as far as possible from cables that carry low or high voltage. When routing and securing slack, leave approximately 1 to 3 feet above the ceiling and 1 to 3 feet in the communications room. A service loop is applicable only for connections 100 megabits per second or less. Service loops are not applicable for 1000 megabits per second or 1 gigabit per second or higher connection. A service loop will induce crosstalk. You may route slack along the cabling path as long as the cable does not cross with itself. This is applicable for all network applications. When securing a cable, use Velcro or cable ties. Do not over-tighten the cables with the cable ties. Over-tightening it will create stress on the cable. The preferred method to secure cables is to use Velcro. Never use sharp or metal objects such as metal staples, nails, or copper wire to secure cables. In conclusion, always do a project assessment prior to cable installation. Identify all possible pooling stations. Generate a labeling scheme. As you start cabling, identify an obstruction-free cabling path. Always secure the excess slack with Velcro or tie straps away from electrical sources. Do not use any metal or sharp objects to secure network cables.